Throughout my career, I've interviewed some terrifying characters, drug dealers, gangsters, heck, even killers. Or at least I've interviewed the actors that brought them to screen. But my guest today interviews the real thing, and he does it in places where real bullets fly. Get down, we're under attack! Sorry, it's a pigeon, but really big. So, welcome to the show. I'm Zane, and today my guest is about to be incarcerated with just me. And then I'm going to interrogate him. Just about his favourite film, so nothing too strenuous. He's this way. Episode 4, Season 2 of The Guest List brings us an East End boy made good. An actor, an author, and now a documentary filmmaker. He's more accustomed to being in a war zone these days than propping up the bar at the Vic, although today he's taking a break from the gunfire as he joins me on The Guest List. Mr. Ross Kemp, thank you for being on The Guest List.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. What have you been up to? You're back from filming.
Travelling, yeah.
Yep.
We're doing a new series about global piracy. So I've just been interviewing an ex-general in the Somalian Secret Service when they had a formal government, and some pirates, some Somali pirates, one of which had done 500 raids on other ships.
They don't want us coming any closer. They think it's because of piracy. They think we might be pirates. So we told to turn away.
When you interview a Somali pirate, that has to... I mean, how does that come about? Because they're wanted men.
Yeah, they're not the easiest people to get to interview, and that's been the problem with doing this. Funnily enough, they don't want to be interviewed, pirates. It was hard to get in contact with them. At one point, I didn't think we were going to have a film.
Congratulations on you two going out there and doing it. Did you spend any time with the military?
We were out on HMS Northumberland for about just a shade under 2 weeks, where, you know, a ship got pirated under our nose, as it were, in terms of naval terms, because it was 70-odd miles away. But by the time we got there on the helicopter, we could see them on the bridge, and they were holding the captain and 2 members of the crew hostage, and said that if we got any closer, we were 3 miles away at that point, they would kill them. And there's no television programme worth that.
No, absolutely.
Not unless there's BAFTAs involved, clearly.
Let us talk about the first movie you've put on your list, which is The Sixth Sense.
I didn't get the movie. When I first watched it the first time, I obviously wasn't concentrating, or I'm really stupid, because I sat down and watched it with a friend of mine and went, yeah, he's obviously dead.
So you saw the twist immediately?
No, I didn't at
okay.
all. But my friend goes, oh, well, he's dead then. No, he's not. I didn't know he's dead.
Well, how soon into the movie did she say that? Because if she said that...
Very early on.
But that's going to annoy you, even if she knows.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, no, it's my job to work out what's going on before everyone else knows. So that was slightly annoying when I first watched the film. But I think it's a very, very clever film. I think Bruce at his best.
I can't be your doctor anymore. I haven't paid enough attention to my family. Do you understand?
Don't give up. You're the only one who can help me. I know it.
I can't help you. Someone else can help you.
Dr. Crow, you believe my secret, right?
The little boy, just fantastic all the way through it.
I see dead people.
In your dreams? While you're awake?
I don't know what he's doing now, but he was a Forrest Gump, wasn't he? He was Forrest. He was a young Forrest.
He was a young Forrest and Forrest Gump. He obviously made The Sixth Sense. Yeah. He was in AI as a robo-child, and then, having been a child star, obviously went off the rails.
Did he?
Yeah, they all do. Bruce Willis, it was quite a big sort of turnaround for him. I don't think we'd seen Bruce in anything quite so good for a while, and then you saw him in this, and he was a million miles from the action man we've seen.
Yeah, of course, Die Hard. Absolutely.
Greatest action movie ever made.
Yep.
Agree?
Love him. Yeah.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer Bruce when he's doing something a little more emotive?
I just like the film because I do think some of the best acting I think you've seen him do probably in his entire career, and he's engaging all the way through, and you care about him all the way through. But he's very good at doing that anyway. I mean, Fortunately, I was a fan of Moonlighting as well.
Oh,
So,
that was great.
Sybil
though.
Shepherd. But
Sybil Shepherd.
yeah, was Sybil, wasn't it?
Hot.
It was, yeah. She was
So
very hot.
and still hot for an older woman. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
Taxi Driver, she was hot in that too.
Of course she was. He takes her out and shows the film.
He takes her to the porn cinema.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever taken anyone on a really bad idea of a date?
Not to a porn cinema, but
No.
the night is but young.
Donnie Wahlberg. I think he lost 2.5 stone. M. Night Shyamalan actually praised him for his dedication to sort of losing
Who's in
that.
the film as well, isn't he?
He does,
Playing
yeah.
the doctor, doesn't he?
Yeah, and as his movies have gone on, his roles have got bigger, and I have to
His
say,
movies have got less successful. That's what you're trying to say.
I'm not going to hide away from the fact that the man should just stay behind the lens. Don't you think?
I've not seen him in anything since. I don't know.
Oh, it's
Name him.
the bit in Signs where he's driving the truck and no, you've not seen Signs. No. That was probably his last good movie. Have you seen The Happening? Don't. Great. Mark Wahlberg tries to reason with a pot plant, which I think gives you the best idea of the quality of that film. But in terms of dedication to a role in anything, I mean, there are great examples like people like Christian Bale in The Machinist. Do you have to? But before you go out into a war zone or a dangerous?
I mean, for my age, I have to get relatively fit, considering I'm not that fit anyway. But I did, particularly for Afghan, because you carry in. Well, if you go out on a patrol for like 12 days, you carry 6 litres. You get through 6 litres of water a day. You're carrying that in your camel packs. You're carrying 2.5 stone of body armour. It's sometimes between 45 and 50 degrees.
So how do you prepare then? I mean, are you just go to the gym or just sort of?
I've got a training that beasts me and tries to, and then I come back and I stuff my face. I tell you what's interesting is that I do get a chance to travel around the world and eat lots of different food. And if I have the opportunity, if it's nice, I make sure I make the most of it.
Next movie on your list of 4 greats is As Good as It Gets.
Yeah.
Famous for picking up a couple of Oscars, famous for Jack Nicholson playing a truly horrific character in Melvin. Why do you like it?
Because I think it's quite honest as a film. I think it's incredibly funny. I think the dialogue, the screenplay is exceptional.
Never, never interrupt me, okay? Not if there's a fire. Not even if you hear the sound of a thud from my home, and 1 week later, there's a smell coming from there that can only be a decaying human body. And you have to hold a hanky to your face because the stench is so thick that you think you're gonna faint. Even then, don't come knocking.
Some of the one-liners that he has and Heather Hunt have in the film are just memorable.
I said, you love me the way you love your remote control, as long as I switch every time you press one of my buttons. That's
great. That's terrific.
I think people that talk in metaphors ought to shampoo my crotch.
I think they're all strong performances. There is a whacking piece of bad continuity. It's a fantastic,
I love
brilliant.
This is
it's
my
a fantastic
favourite part.
moment. You know, obviously I've worked on dramas and stuff like that, so you're always kind of one eye out for it subconsciously when you're watching something. It's the moment in the car where the guy is going to confront his parents.
You want to know what happened with my parents?
Yes.
When I was a kid.
Wait. I'm gonna pull over. Give me my full attention.
The roof's down on the Saab, and the car pulls over and the roof's up.
That's shocking. That's shocking for a movie that won Oscars.
No, it's just interesting, isn't it? I know. In ways, it sticks out to me when I watch it. Why does the roof suddenly come up, and how quickly do you get the roof up in one shot? All round, it's a very clever film. I think it's written well. I think it's performed well. I think it makes you warm about life as well.
I have a thing where I take relationship advice from romantic comedies. I find them as a source. I mean, sure, they're a rose-tinted world, but there's
You make me want to be a better man.
You make me want to be a better man.
What a great line.
Have you ever...
Yes, is the answer to your question. Have I ever used lines like that? Of course I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever used direct lines that you've lifted from a romantic comedy? I did once. I used the fame thing isn't real, you know. I'm just a guy standing in front of a girl asking her to love him. But I did it as a joke, and she hadn't seen it, and she said, that's the most beautiful
thing I've ever seen.
I was like, I can now never tell
you. No, I always preempt it with, this reminds me of that moment in the movie when he says. But no, there's some great one-liners.
You've never faked it then?
I can't remember exactly what he says. Do you know when he goes into the publishers And she goes, how comes you write so well for women?
How do you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
It's a dreadful put-down line, and it's very kind of disrespectful to women, but at the time it's very, very funny.
I mean, you started acting very young. You were a shepherd in your school nativity play.
I was, yeah.
Does it annoy you that you weren't Joseph, though? Did that really upset you?
You just get used to bad casting directors.
Was the guy who played Joseph, was he...
Do you know what? I think I cut all his hair off. Hence why I look like I do now. Remember it very clearly. I must have been really young. I must have been 4 or 5.
And that was just it? You got the bug after that?
I don't know about that. I remember they sellotaped, they put like sheets over your head and they sellotaped them. And we had great fun ripping the sellotape off each other's heads. Have you ever been out with the girls who played Mary? They always kind of tell you that. And very early on I was in Nativity and I played Mary. I've had 2 girls come up to me and I was like, yeah, and? I
have never had a girl come up to me and go, by the way, I played Mary when I was 7 years old.
It's happened to me twice.
That's good. I don't want to upset you. I got to play Joseph in mine. I was Joseph in my school nativity play.
No surprises.
Huh? What?
Nothing.
I got that
I got jealousy. I got jealous.
Well, I'm just, some of us...
Do you know, somehow I think I'm never going to get to play Joseph now. I think that's gone.
Well, that is it for part 1 of the guest list, but join me in part 2 when we're going to be talking more movies with Mr. Ross Kemp. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of today's guest list, where I'm here with Ross Kemp. When you return from these shows, Ross Kemp on Gangs, Afghanistan, or most recently dealing with the pirates, do you find you need to sort of escape from the headspace you've been in during that process? Do you like to maybe sit back, kick back, and hopefully, for this show, watch a movie? Yeah,
watch a movie, glass of wine, takeaway. Chill out a bit for a couple of days. When you get back to readjust slowly back into the rat race.
Do you like to completely escape with your choice of movies from where you've been? Like, do you get back and put Toy Story on? Monsters Inc?
I do like stuff like that.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to what I like, as you can tell from the choices. Yeah, I watch most things. I mean, there are certain things I won't, nothing against Hannah Montana, but it's not really my area.
No?
I like...
Miley Cyrus isn't the next big thing for you, Ross Kemp?
She might be when she's a bit older, but not right now.
So the penultimate movie on your list of 4 is going to be West Side Story.
I like to be in America, okay by me in America, everything free in America.
For a small fee in America.
Are you a fan of all musicals, or is it this
one
particularly?
God, no. This won 10 Oscars. This is Leonard Bernstein of the time, probably one of the best composers of his generation, probably of that century. I picked it because my mum, it was my first ever, I didn't understand what Gangs were. My mum loved the film. And I think when VHSs first came out, the big old videotape things, my mum had that. That was the thing that was permanently on in the house. So Maria and all those songs are actually played frequently around the Kemp household when I was younger, so I remember it.
Tony! Give it a gang, it's all okay. Come on. No! Tony, what are you doing?
Maybe he has found the guts to fight his own battles.
It don't take guts if you got a battle. We ain't got one. None of us. Okay, Nardo? Tony! Huh? Hold it!
In terms of gangs, the time you spent with gangs, do you find there is a movie about gangs that comes close to the realism of it? I mean,
it's certainly West Side Story, isn't it? That has to be the movie. I've spent 4 years now travelling around the world meeting real gang members, and I've never heard one of them sing Maria yet. Though I've often thought about asking.
Wouldn't it be a beautiful place, a beautiful world, if all problems between gangs could be solved with dance?
Absolutely.
Get your hands off, American!
Nardo!
Stay away from my sister.
Sister?
Couldn't you see he's one of them?
No, I saw only him.
There's only one thing they want from a Puerto Rican
That's
girl.
a lie. Later, Tony.
Get away!
Stay out of this, Chino. Don't listen.
She would listen to her brother before she listens to you.
Hey, look, if you two characters want to settle this,
Please, boys, everything was going so well. Now, come on, we're all here to have a good time. Right?
The most lethal weapon in their arsenal would be jazz hands. I'd love that.
I was reading something about they went through 400 pairs of plimsolls or trainers making that because the pavement was so hard on their feet. I tell you what I was gutted was to find out that Natalie Wood didn't actually sing.
Nothing else but you ever.
And there's nothing for me but Maria. Every sight that I see is Maria.
Tony, Tony.
Is that right?
She's dubbed. And so's Tony. They never actually sang.
You're pulling back the
But
curtain,
do you know
Ross.
what? Destroys it.
Really?
But also, there's a real fun. You're going to laugh about this. When I was at drama school in the 80s, I had a quiff then, believe it or not, on my own. And everyone said I looked like Russ Tamlin when I was younger, which is pretty hard to wind your head around, I know. But
I'm sort of doing that magic eye thing where I'm sort of putting my squinting.
I know, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it?
It's one of those movies that I think I know the words to the songs for, and I don't. So
Yeah,
I
you
just
say,
find
"No,
myself,
no, yeah."
da-da-da-da-da, America, America.
Industry boom in America.
Wealth in a room in America.
That bit.
I mean, it's not actually really a film that I would choose to watch when I come back from one of my trips, but it is a film that has kind of certain, kind of like historic memories for me, my family, good time, people laughing, etc. So that's why it's on the list.
Good. It's good that it's on the list. Would you ever do a musical
No,
yourself?
I would never be asked, and no, the answer is no.
No, never.
It would depend on the role and what I was.
Why is it?
asked
Is
to
it
be.
because of the way you perceived you couldn't then go out to Afghanistan, having been?
Well, I don't know. I don't think that really matters. I just think at the moment I can't see that happening, but you never know.
I always wanted to be a tap dancer, Ross, but the tap dancing.
So
group.
did I. But I used to loosen my taps off at the back and just stand at the back of the class and stamp. Just get double tap.
Did you tap dance?
Listen to me, kid.
Are you serious? You tap dance?
You have to when you're at drama school. You're taught to fence and do ballet and do all those things.
Can you teach me how to dance?
I so can't.
Oh.
Well,
Did you like
no
that
man
moment?
who can.
Here's your top piece of exciting movie trivia. So, West Side Story was the first film to win the Best Director Oscar for Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins. You might notice I'm reading. But for the second half, I don't need to read, because the second time that happened was 46 years later with the final film you've picked on the list in 2007, No Country for Old Men. The Coen brothers won that Oscar. Why do you like it?
I knew it was coming. I was looking forward to it. And as always, those two brothers deliver just fantastically interesting conceptual films. I mean, films that, whatever subject they seem to choose, they come up with something that you didn't expect. And they get brilliant performances out of their actors. They cast them so well.
Call it. Call it, yes. For what? Just call it.
Well, we need to know what we're calling it for here.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. Well, it wouldn't be fair.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it.
I think what people love about them is that they're not Hollywood. I've always loved their stuff, and Fargo was the first film that I watched of theirs, and I just became sort of addicted to them. And I knew this film was coming out. I read about it in one of the magazines. It was coming out. I just couldn't wait to see it.
What do you think of the fact that they can do both comedy and
or mix the two?
Yeah, I mean, I think No Country for Old Men is obviously far more darker than than
sure.
anything like even Fargo's got its lighter moments.
So where are you girls from?
Chaska, Le Sueur, but I went to high school in White Bear Lake. Go Bears.
Okay. I want you to tell me what these fellas look like.
Well, the little guy, he was kind of funny looking.
In what way?
I don't know, just funny looking.
Can you be any more specific?
I couldn't really say. He wasn't circumcised.
Was he funny looking apart from that?
Yeah.
Do you like that more when you see the Coens doing darkness as opposed to humour, or does it not matter as long as it's the Coen brothers?
Well, as long as it's a good film, and I don't remember ever watching one of their movies and not coming away entertained or having something to think about afterwards.
They're the most picked directors on this show ever.
Are they?
I mean, yeah, from Charlize Theron to Paul Bettany, we're always having Coen brothers films picked, and they seem to be an actor's director.
If you look at some of the things people say about them, is that most people would, literally die to be in a Coen brothers film, and you can sort of see why.
So when was he here, Sheriff? I don't know. Oh. Now that's aggravating. Sheriff? I'm still sweating. Oh, Sheriff! We just missed him!
If the call came, Mr. Ross Kemp...
I don't think it's ever going to, but if it did, there wouldn't be...
They'd have two phones because of both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Ross Kemp.
Yeah, I'd simultaneously say yes to both of them.
You would?
Oh, yeah, without doubt. Everyone would.
I think you're right.
And just the experience of having to, working with them. And there's something that I think of, John Goodman in Lebowski or any of those. They're memorable performances.
You see what happens? You see what happens, Larry?
And I think they actually know how to get actors to perform at their best, or allow actors to perform at their best.
Kelly MacDonald has a brilliant accent in that movie. Kelly MacDonald, obviously, I first saw her in Trainspotting, and she's got the perfect Texan accent. I mean, really flawless.
She's fantastic in it.
I got a bad feeling, Llewellyn.
Well, I got a good one, so that ought to even out.
And that moment when she says, I'm not going to make the decision with the coin.
I know you was crazy when I saw you sitting there. I knowed exactly what was in store for me.
Call it.
No. I ain't gonna call it.
And you sort of think, even in that moment, I don't give too much away, but you think he's not going to. But he clearly does. And it's a great finish to a movie as well.
I don't want you to walk away from this thinking I've never been in harrowing situations, because although I know you have, when I was 9 years old, I was attacked by a dog. I've actually got a scar just there. Actually, I can't find it. But I've got a scar, and it was the only time in my life.
Oh, you still affected by that?
I wet myself as it was attacking me, yeah. I've never wet myself before or since.
Good.
But I mean, I don't know whether you want to do a documentary on that or something. Maybe Ross Kemp on dog attacks.
Is it when dogs turn nasty?
Love it. I think I've read that somewhere already, but it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good.
When dogs attack.
Ross Kemp, that is our time together. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. 4 great movies picked, and I'm inspired to watch West Side Story all over again.
Get your tap shoes on.
Cheers,
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So there you have it. Ross Kemp certainly knows his movies, and who'd have thought such an insightful documentary maker would have actually started out as a shepherd in a nativity play with a sheet sellotaped to his head. Still, we all begin somewhere. I'll see you next time for another edition of The Guest List, when we'll be talking movies with another dedicated film fan. Until then, take care.